I'll sing my song to the morning light, and when the time has come, I'll sing my song to the morning side.
And we are back live here at Santa Cruz. Here's the road to the final. And that's what we've seen unfold. There's not many of those blank spaces left now. There's only 2 blank spots. That's the final. We've seen Ramsey progress through that top side of the draw, beat Timothy Bissell in the quarterfinal. We saw Luel Felipe take out the hometown hero, Vasco Ribeiro. Meanwhile, in the bottom half of the draw, it's pretty stacked there. Jorgen Kuzne and Federico Moraes, probably 2 of the biggest seeds in this event. They are going to battle out for that all-important final place. We've got 3 more heats to run. Gigs, Cilias, things are shaping up nicely.
Yeah, they are, Ben Mundy. Let's have a look at some replays early on here. We're into the semi-finals of the QS 3000. And it's Ramsey Bookayem straight into it here. Looks like he's going to fetch a medium-range score on this, as well as the judges are dropping this while we watch the replay. Switching focus, he did all his work in the quarterfinals on the left here, Ben, but now switching it over to the right-hander, and he's going to check in early with a 5.17. So setting the pace here and looking to go 1 better than his semi-final finish last year. Ramsey Bookayem taking on Luel Felipe. Luel Felipe now out in the lineup holding priority. And with all of that, let's go down and hear from Federico Moraes. He's down there with Diogo Patrocino.
Yeah, thanks, Gigs. That's right. The man himself, Federico Moraes. Federico, tough conditions, but you go outside to the far bank. Tell us about that plan.
I think it's the smartest plan, because just the waves are bigger and it's a proper wave. It's not just a little inside left reform. And I've been used to surf on the world tour, and I guess if this was a city event, everyone would be surfing out the back, not on the inside. So that's where my head is at, and that's where I'm gonna keep hunting, and I think that's the best scoring wave on this bank. So yeah.
And tell us about this. How is to perform on facing your own crowd here in Portugal?
It's crazy good to be home and surf on Portuguese beaches, and just the crowd is unbelievable. They've been supporting me for during my whole career. So to be here is just amazing. I feel so blessed. It's so cool.
Última pergunta em português. Faltam 2 baterias para a final. O ano passado fizeste quartos, agora já estamos nas meias. Vamos até ao fim?
Isso, vamos sempre até ao fim, uma coisa de cada vez. Ainda falta um hito para a final, e depois ainda falta a final, se chegar à final, mas uma coisa é certa, eu estou a fazer o meu trabalho, eu acredito, e acho que todos nós acreditamos, e agora esperar pelas ondas boas e fazer bom surf.
É isso mesmo, vou-te deixar descansar, Kikas, obrigado, um abraço. Back to you, boys, in the booth.
Muito obrigado.
Yeah, Freddie Moraes. I think he didn't quite get the shake there right at the end there.
No,
Diogo missed the opportunity there.
No, he missed the opportunity.
Got a bit freaky with that, but
I must say, interesting decision from Federico Moraes to go outside. We saw it backfire on Vasco Ribeiro early on in the quarterfinal number 2, but enough water draining out over the bank to back up Federico Moraes' decision there.
Yeah, and exactly, and so that, you know, it was a big decision. I think probably the most kind of revealing aspect of that interview was the fact his mindset, about that CT mindset. You know, he's still got that. He had, you know, a year or 2 years, or 2 years on the CT. You know, he's still in that mindset. You know, he's really fired up, and that's his mindset. So, will it pay off in the QS? Well, it has so far. There's a little bit of a replay though while we were talking to Freddie. I think we saw just Luel Felipe get off to a little scratchy start, a 1.0. It's not going to count. Meanwhile, Ramsey going again.
Well, here we follow live action. Second wave now underway for Ramsey Bukhayem using that right-hander, and that was dynamic. Two-turn combination. We saw him do the two-turn combo on the left on the inside in quarterfinal number 1, now appearing in the semi-finals, and he's continuing his momentum here, Mr. Mundy.
My goodness, that's the ability that Ramsey's got. So you think he's too late here. He comes round, first turn, drives off. Think, oh, it's too late, and then bang, just the explosiveness and the pace to come out with real control. That is such a difficult thing to do.
Can you do a better combination, 2 turns back-to-back than that?
No, and just the speed of it, the fact that he's doing 2, solid turns within the space where most people would never be able to get 1 in.
Maybe the boys will bring us a replay and we'll slow that right down for you, because that is an important element of the judging criteria. Combinations of maneuvers, how the one turn blends straight into the other.
Yeah, and he's sticking it. That's the thing. It's just remarkable. He's had a bit of a history, sometimes falling off's been one of Ramsey's kind of major competitive flaws. But I tell you what, in that first heat today, first semi, he smashed a couple and landed clean, and he's just done it again. So great surfing, a 7.67. Can Felipe come back, the Brazilian, the sole Brazilian left in the event? He's just sticking to his guns. A lack of dynamism compared to Ramsey in that wave, just a bit fat as well. So Ramsey got 7.67 gigs.
Well, near excellent score for Ramsey Bukhayem, 2-turn combo. What are we making of this? You said this was a bit of a lackluster one. Judges are going to reflect that in their score here, Ben.
Yeah, a bit fat. He's driving down the line. This is his first real chance to get involved with the rail. He does to a degree. So 2 kind of lateral turns and nothing else after that. So it's 2.5. Going to go back and look at Ramsey's wave.
Well, the judges threw a 7.67 at that. We were talking about the combination of maneuvers. Just having a look at Bukhayem, working hard in the lineup here. Already slipping 8 minutes into this semi-final number 1. But the highlight score right now, 7.67. We're talking about the combination of maneuvers.
So he goes up, a nice turn, but it's this one here. He is so late, and he sticks it high up in the lip. He had no right to come out of that with any type of control, and he nailed it, and he's going again. I'm liking what I'm seeing here, Giggs. I just think he's got some power, he's got real release, he's got speed. I mean, it's everything you need in a surfer. And look at Ramsey, he's fired up. He made the semi-finals here last year, and right now he looks pretty good to improve on that.
That was wave number 3 we've just seen for Ramsey Bukhayem. Throw to that replay. Are we improving scores here, Ben?
Maybe on that first one, yeah. He's got more turns in. That's the third. That last one's speed check, but the fourth is solid, even though it's in the foam. So it's going to probably be around that 5 mark. Might improve his position just a little bit.
The thing that I'm taking out of this qualifying series event here, Ben, is power surfing is making an impact in this particular stop, but the discussion that came out of the Gold Coast was the gap between the qualifying series and the championship tour has admittedly narrowed. You start looking at performance power surfing on the rail from Ramsey Bukhayem particularly, and Vasco Ribeira. They would feel right at home in that championship tour jersey. We now think of how Wade Carmichael's performing, of course, the Big Panda as well. So power surfing has a home here on the QS, of course, and on this championship tour. Yeah,
most definitely. We talked about some of the biggest performers throughout this week. Ramsey's been one, as you say. Jorgen Kuzne is a big power surfer. Federico Moraes, we just saw dominate. All these guys are guys that, they harness power and they engage the rail. And, it's still got a massive place in surfing. And the QS gap, I think you're right. I think the man-on-man and woman-on-woman that was brought in probably 2 or 3 years ago was massive.
Yep.
I think the priority in the 4-man heats means that the best surfers are getting through, not necessarily the gnarliest competitors and the best hustlers.
Yep.
So those sort of things have evened the playing field, and the QS events, those 10,000 events, have a lot of CT guys. So the QS guys that have made the top 10 have beaten many CT guys. By the time they get on, I think there's a whole. I mean, there's still a big step. Don't get me wrong. There's a familiarity. They've got a bit of confidence, and we saw Seth Moniz in the Gold Coast, didn't we?
Yeah, good point you make.
And what he did, he blasted through the quarterfinals. So, Yeah.
Well, you're talking power surfing. Semi-final number 2 coming up next features those names, Jorgen Cousinet and Federico Moraes. They are just around 19 minutes away. You see the clock top left of screen with refreshed scores. Bukhayem found a 6.77 on that last series of backhand hits.
Wow. So a huge score, you know. You see Luel Felipe in combination, meaning he needs 2 waves. So yeah, that's 6.77. I undercooked that myself a bit.
Yeah.
Didn't quite sort of get the degree of difficulty. Here goes Felipe trying to get back in the game.
Live action, Luel Felipe trying to answer now to Ramzi Bukhayem. His wave selection just not paying out dividends here. It's all low scores right now for your Brazilian. Of course, Ben, you mentioned this time last year, Ramzi Bukhayem all the way to the semi-finals. He fell against Aritz Aranbura at the last hurdle. But right now, this year's semi-final effort going very strongly with momentum for Ramzi Bukhayem.
Yeah, looking really strong. As you say, just did well last year, but not, you know, and he said in the interview that, you know, his only goal was to beat that result. He's looking good for it at the moment. And as we see, Felipe, he's got something to say about that. The Brazilian, a little hack in the pocket and goes for the air and just gets both his feet caught up the top of the nose. We saw his coach talk about his aerial game, and he's got it, but unfortunately just couldn't quite pull it off there.
Plenty of time for Luel Felipe to build a comeback story against Ramzi Bukhayem. You see the conditions here. You're joining us for the QS 3000, 2 of them here in Portugal. We're wrapping up its finals day. We're into the semi-finals here of the Santa Cruz event. Is there any building of scores here, Ben?
No, he done that first turn. I like the fact that he's gone for a bit of degree of difficulty there, but I think if he just finished off with a super strong turn, he would have at least got a, you know, back himself back in the game. Meanwhile, at the back on the right, it's Ramsey, a bit of a frothy number, and he can't get over that.
It'll be interesting to see how Ramzi navigates and manages his own personal momentum in the semi-final, because he really has set a solid start. You kind of don't want to see him overcook and peak too early, so to speak. Is that a discussion?
Yeah, I suppose. I think at this stage of the game, I think, yeah, you're building up. I think he'll be super happy. I'd be more worried about his heat, just his sort of heat management here. He's got a lot of time to think about it. You know, he can be a bit sort of guilty of overplaying things and getting caught up in the situation. I think if he just tries to ignore the score, you know, start off, you know, afresh and keep putting pressure on his opponent, keep getting those best waves. But we have seen, you're right, we've seen the best guys in the world are the best at building the momentum at the right time. Felipe Toledo, I think he's got 7 final wins out of 8, I think. So, you know, he's the type of guy that once you get through those rounds, you know, become more and more harder to beat.
It's an interesting discussion that you go into finals day, you know, to crown the whole thing, you've got to do 3 efforts, quarter semis and finals, but it's how to control your pace through all of them, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's muscle memory. It's a whole lot of mental game that comes into that.
What about the bloody frigid water too?
Yeah, that's going to come into play. You know, it's been a big week. You know, they've been here every day, but this right-hander, it's definitely at least giving equal opportunity. Yeah, you're right. You've got to manage it. It's a mix of experience, knowing how to do that. It's a mix of not getting too far ahead of yourself, you know, concentrating on that single heat, but also having a plan for the whole day. So that's a balancing act there. That's where these guys take, you know, their brains trust comes into play. The coaches providing sound heat strategies. It's a whole lot about monitoring the ocean. You know, you've got to be constantly aware of what's changing with the conditions, who's getting the best scores and where. So yeah, you know, you've got to be so switched on, and yet conversely find yourself, you know, relaxing. So that's why I'm here talking about it, and they're out there doing it.
Well, live action again on the inside. Luel Felipe, low down on the qualifying series, is having a good run through the field here, trying to unlock numbers now. The first time in man-on-man format in this event we've seen the combination. It is a combo right now because of the low set of scores for Felipe. And of course, Ramzi Bukhayem's solid contributions, 2-turn combo, the 7.67, add the 6.77. It's a fair domination of semi-final number 1 here. And you know, what's interesting as well is looking back to this event this time last year, Kanoa Igarashi was in the other semi-final and would beat a also lesser-known Brazilian in Victor Bernardo. So interesting that we've got a lower-ranked Luel Felipe finding results here in Santa Cruz. Of course, it is finals day. We'll be handing out some beautiful hardware. Let's go and find out a little bit more about what is waiting for the winner's podium.
Se eu não fosse surfista, nunca conseguiria fazer e passar para aquilo que estou a fazer em essência, realmente real do que eu quero passar. Porque é difícil, quem não faz, ter aquela percepção. Normalmente as ondas que faço são tubulares e nunca tendo feito um tubo, nunca conseguiria passar isso para o meu trabalho. Era difícil. A madeira, o que me atrai é o toque dela. É ver uma coisa em bruto e transformar. E depois é aquele toque, é difícil explicar. É algo emocionante estar a tocar e a fazer e de um quadrado de madeira esculpir algo. Não sei se me vou conseguir explicar, porque é uma coisa muito minha, que só sinto quando estou a esculpir, quando estou a trabalhar na madeira. Pronto, é bom.
Well, $15,000 and that wooden carved trophy waiting along with 3,000 points, Ben, for the winner.
If I had the choice between the wooden trophy and the 15,000, I'd take the wooden trophy. That was hand sculpted from an emotional local. His heart and soul went into it. Barreling tubes made from a block of wood.
Can't put a price on that.
You can't put a price on it. Well, I just did $15,000. But yeah, no, what a trophy, because you know, they're the things you keep. They're the things at the end of your career you go back and you look at.
You don't spend the trophy.
No, that's right. I mean, you can't pack it in the hearse either, but still, it's yeah, what a lovely touch. In keeping with the way this event's been run, locally sort of made, locally backed, a real emphasis on sustainability and treating the environment with respect and treating people with respect. And, you know, that's just another little element of why this event's been so successful. It's the people that make it. And,
yeah, absolutely.
And the area that it's sort of moulded from. So,
and what a wonderful, and let's roll that into our hosts, Noah's Surf House. I mean, their rustic wood and the way they've put their setups together.
Yeah, we had a dinner up in the drinks up in the hotel at the back where we're staying, and they've got a guest house. I mean, a greenhouse, sorry, that's just, you know, made from old machinery, and it's just a real, you know, organic vibe to the place. They've created this really good feeling about, yeah, it's just Noah's Surf House, the place itself, and the people who run it. So, yeah, it's awesome. But looks like Ramsey Buchheim's probably the man most likely to have a chance of raising that masterpiece, because Luel Felipe has just finally hit a sort of fork in the road. He's been on fire all week, hasn't he? I mean, no one's surfed more. I mean, we're doing some free surf. No one's surfed more on this bank. Not only because he's surfed since around 144, but he's also been free surfing. And he's every sort of challenge that's come his way, he's met.
We've had a couple of one-sided heats on finals day.
Yeah, we have actually. One guy just putting the throttle down, and yeah, that's what happens. I suppose there's a bit of difference in class. Felipe, lower seeding surfer. You know, Ramsey more experienced and has been in these final situations before. Still, 10 minutes on the clock.
Well, you mentioned rankings there. Luel Felipe down at 389th. So this is really his first roll of the dice here.
Right, well, he's about to scoot up those ratings.
You know what's interesting, though? You look back on his qualifying series year-end results last year, just outside the top 100, 105th place finish. His best he's ever done was 2017, finished 79th. So he's just one of those QS grinders, right? Just one of those guys that won't roll over and go away.
Yeah, that's right. And he's improving. His coach, we had a chat, he said, look, he's always had the talent. I think in the last year he's just starting to work on his mental game, and he really believes that he's got the talent to, you know, to make things happen. As we've seen that this week. Here he goes, he's never going to give up. I'll tell you that for nothing.
Well, Buchheim turned his nose up at that holding priority and has allowed that wave to run through, and Felipe jumped on it, but we can see why Ramsey turned his nose up at it. Not really much on offer there as we slip inside of 9.5 minutes to go in semi-final number 1. If you're just joining us, it is the QS 3000, the Pro Santa Cruz, presented by the Noah Surf House. Two QS 3000s back-to-back sees a lot of former championship tour surfers here knocking on the door of possibilities for points. Here's a replay of that throwaway for...
I feel like I've seen this kind of wave just on repeat, really, for Philippe. He's just caught the same wave. He's had two turns and they just run off, whereas Ramsey's had sections that absolutely belt, but just for the first time probably in this event, his wave selections just let him down. And he hasn't been able to just get those waves that have reeled off like Fred did in the last heat, or Kuzne did the one before that. So he's in a spot of bother. He's got a massive combination, and that time is spooling away. If you're one
of our new surf fans, these are 30-minute heats. The winner advances through. Of course, the next win will see you into the finals. And of course, best two waves counting. There is no maximum. You can catch as many waves as you like. We saw quite high wave counts early on in the week, Ben, on that left-hander. Some surfers going up to 11 and 12 waves caught in the heat. Slowed down a little bit, though, although, as I say, that Luel Felipe already on 8 rides here in this semi-final.
Yeah, I can't really remember a wave-starved sort of a heat, throughout the week. There's been a couple where probably the scores have been lower, but there's always been opportunities to catch plenty of them. Yeah, it's been so consistent, hasn't it? This swell has just been pouring in. He hasn't been under, 4 foot in a week, and I think it hadn't been under 4 foot for a month before that. So,
does it ever get under 4 foot in Santa Cruz is the next question.
No, it's so open.
Both surfers just navigating on the outside. They're on the deep water on the outside bank, probably about 200 yards offshore. It's a bigger playing field than what it may look to you on screen. May even give you another pulled back shot of the lineup here in Santa Cruz. Of course, year by year, these sandbanks do move around and change. But this year, Praia de Mirante playing host to the World Surf League's qualifying series. We've seen this event grow in stature over the last few editions. And of course, a huge thanks again to the Torres Vedras municipality, along with Ocean Events, doing a great job. If you look at their input to the global story of surfing, championship tour events, big wave events, and really bringing the level of qualifying series events higher and higher each season. Luel Felipe trying to do his own lifting of the bar. It's not going to happen on that, and it's just been one of those heats that he'll want to just throw away.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, once again, Ramsey had priority there and let him have it. He's been really patient, Ramsey, really impressed with the fact that he's waiting to build. He has to improve on a 6.77, so he knows he needs a big wave, and he's been happy not to fall into the bait, not to get sold on any waves. He's given Luel this one, and yet again, it's, as I keep saying, that's his 9th wave, and nothing over 2.7. So that shows you how much he struggled.
Well, Luel Felipe broke hearts in the quarterfinals this morning, beating the Portuguese star Vasco Ribeiro. Of course, we started with 8 this morning. 2 Portuguese stars. One of them remains in the draw, though. Coming up in semi-final number 2, Jorgen Kuzne from France takes on the Portuguese darling, Frederico Moraes. So the worst that Luel Felipe can do here, Ben, is finish 3rd and find 1,680 points. It's better than winning a QS 1500.
Oh, it's huge for Luel. He'll
$3,500.
Yeah,
maybe a small trophy.
Yeah, and he'll jump up. Oh, I don't know, if he's way down there, a couple hundred spots, you imagine.
Yeah, you'd imagine,
huge. Yeah, so yeah, I mean, he'll be disappointed if it stays the way it is. But upon reflection, I think he'll find that it's a massive breakthrough for him, and he's got Caparica coming up.
Well, here's someone.
So
yeah, exactly.
He'll go with form.
That man on screen, Jorgen Kuzne, strong starts in the last 2 seasons prior, 2017, 2018, in fact, leading the qualifying series in the first halves of the year at stages. Jorgen Kuzne comes here ranked 26. He's coming up against Frederico Moraes. Can he break Portuguese hearts as Luel Felipe did in the quarterfinals? Find out. And he's leaving it pretty late here, Ben. I mean, we're really not seeing much. Ramsey Buchheim running a textbook heat here. Found his scores early on. Has not really pulled the trigger on much since. He might just be shadowing around in the lineup. Just if anything of quality does come through, he'll play that priority. and block off any efforts from Luel Felipe here as we go inside of the 5-minute mark. In fact, down to under 4:20 now. And it's a clear story with the scoreboard. Combination situation for the Brazilian.
Yeah, exactly. And he's in all sorts. And Ramsey's now he's got priority. He'll stick much closer. Yeah, Frederico Moraes, he's coming I see there, ranked 124. So I see he was a high-ranked surfer. I mean, his seeding from last year is high, but his actual performance on the QS this year, you know, he's had a shocker, to be honest.
Freddie, made the trip down to Oz.
He had a poor start in Australia, and you know, this would be, if he can get through this and then even go another one after that, a win could really kickstart his QS campaign. And you know, he's in the CT mindset, but I'm actually a bit worried about that. I think he's got to get in a bit of a QS mindset, because he's got to do what he did, you know, all those years ago, that when he qualified, and that's grind out results. And that's, I think sometimes, you know, you've got to be almost go back to square one and forget where you're from and start again. So
well, we'll talk a lot about Frederico Moraes in the upcoming semi-final number 2. Right now, though, we're down to a little over 3 minutes to go, and all the story here is Ramzi Boukhaim, your surfer from Morocco, who pretty much calls France home. And just to make note to that French comment again, Ben, is in the final 8 this morning when we got out of bed, pretty much 4 French flags in the discussion.
Yeah, they've had a good campaign. These in these European events, Europeans always tend to do well. Jürgen Kuznets dominated a lot of those smaller events over the last few years. Timothy Bissow's had a good run this year. So, yeah, they're always so dangerous on their home turf. And the French is such a strong surfing nation.
It's been a rip bowl left, though, sorry, Ben, that has really emulated a lot of the beach breaks in France. Let's have a look at how this semi-final has unfolded. Luel Felipe trying to find scores against his dominant opponent.
Yeah, he's really, I mean, he's been busy. He's never, of course, he hasn't given up. He's just had these really similar waves. I see another one here. I mean, you could just press repeat on like 8 of these waves, to be honest. And he's shown form. That's the surfing we've seen from him, but unfortunately, just there's been no sections where he could really let loose that he's done throughout the rest of the week. And then, wow, Ramsey, this is early on. This is his first wave. What a start. That is late, and that is committed, and that is cool. Everything that I'm not. And no, this is his high 6. Smaller wave, but you can see the zip and the zap and how much pace, and just cracks it up high to finish off. So 4 turns, and he's happy with that. So yeah, real strong performance. 2 waves, but that's all he needed to do. He just boxed in an opponent, and he's never been able to get out of combo ever since.
That JS looking good underfoot for Ramzi Boukhaim as we go inside of 90 seconds now in semi-final number 1. Another in and out on screen there for Luel Felipe. We'll reel back the tape and have a look at that. He's paddling with zest here, so he might have just felt he's built a score here.
Yeah, so he's driving down the line, these right-handers he's been sticking to. Just waiting for the section. Here he goes again, starts to re-engage the rail. It's a little turn. He's done nothing so far, but he's hoping for a bit of steep face. There he gets it. So there's the fillet cutback we've seen a lot of. And then finishes it off. Still pretty lateral, safe surfing. It's not going to be, well, it's a 3.87. It's still his best score, but it's nowhere near what he needs. And he's still not giving up. He's paddling back out, but his event has done and dusted. And he'll reflect on what's been an amazing week, but unfortunately a disappointing semi-final. You know, nowhere near what he's capable of.
Well, Luel Felipe got out of bed and broke Portuguese hearts, getting a win in the quarterfinals, beating Vasco Ribeiro to a 5th place finish, and moved on here to the semi-finals. But it's going to be the end of the road for Luel Felipe. Combination situation as the clock shuts itself down here. And all credit to this man, Ramzi Boukhaim. He'll look just to roll into the beach. This is really just using the escalator to get back to prepare for a final now. A 7.67 and a 6.77 of solid heat contribution from the Moroccan. Sees him go one better than this time last year, because Ramzi losing to Aritz Arambura in the 2018 edition here of the Pro Santa Cruz. This year, he said it in interviews, Ben, he wants to go one better, and he's done just that.
Done that, and now he's only got one thing on his mind. He'd only get to the final and not try and win it, but he's been looking great. I think we might now wrap it up for this heat. Go to a commercial break and be back with the second semi-final of the Pro Santa Cruz.
Surfers in the second semi-final. Get ready for the start, gentlemen. Here we go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
When the time is right, I'll sing my song to the morning light. And when the time has come, I'll sing my song to the morning sun.
It's semi-finals time. You're joining us now for the second semi-final. Jorgen Cousinet, the Frenchman, surfing with spark here in 2019, takes on the Portuguese Prince Frederico Moraes. Slightly rainy conditions here. Now approaching 1:45 in the afternoon. It is our final day of the waiting period. And it's been a big week of surfing here in Santa Cruz. Of course, that man on screen, Frederico Moraes, blazed his way through the 2016 and 17 championship tours. But last year, just finishing short, 23rd place finish on the Jeep leaderboard for Frederico Moraes. Absolute heartbreak has him back here grinding on the qualifying series. Someone that's very used to that grind is Jorgen Cousinet on screen. The Frenchman surfing with vigor again in 2019. He's come out the gate strong each season. Seen him, in fact, when you do little qualifying series check-ins on the rankings, sitting up top for the starts of 2017-2018, but falling through the process of each of those years. And, well, someone that is on a roll here and going one better than last year is Ramzi Bukhayem. Let's go down and hear from him. He took out that first semi-final.
All right, so we're just following the end of a wave there from Jorgen, and just tried to blow the tail on that last maneuver and goes down. Meanwhile, I found Ramzi. Mate, ever-changing conditions. You went out the back, a little bit of wind out there, but you looked like you took it all in your stride.
Yeah, I mean, it's the first time I go to the right at the back during this comp, so I haven't like surfed rights. So I was like, oh, a little bit. I didn't know what was going to happen, but it felt great. The board felt good on the back end too, and I'm happy. Yeah, it's windy. The south wind picked up. It's pretty hard. You got to time it in the chops, but I got 2 waves early in the heat, and that set me up kinda. I just had the rhythm, and I'm stoked. Now game on.
All right, the other two in the water right now. Any preference maybe between these two?
I don't care. Both, they surf, I mean, pretty similar. Natural footers, big hacks. So I'm the backhand guy. I just need some pockets and hit it hard and to beat those guys.
Mate, go and get warm, go and get ready. Final coming up. Keep an eye on this guy, Ramzi Bukhayem. He's been on fire all week down here, and he's 1 heat away from taking out the win.
Well done there, Ramzi Bukhayem. I've touted him as a potential championship tour surfer over the last few seasons. It's been a bumpy ride with mixed results for Ramzi Bukhayem, but into the finals now of a QS 3000 chance to build some scores. And it's been a pretty slow start here to semi-final number 2. Cousinet taking on Frederico Moraes. Again, there's your overview of the playing field here. The World Surf League brings the qualifying series to Portugal for 2 QS 3000s back-to-back. Jorgen Cousinet Scrappy scores to start, just a 183 and a 167, really not getting the chance to cut loose as he did in the quarterfinals. It was a pretty convincing win for Jorgen Cousinet in that quarter, taking on Thomas Debier. Ben Mundy, here we go. We're finally getting Federico Moraes underway here. Nice snap for him. And a pocket at the end. So efficient surfing here for wave 1 for the Portuguese surfer. Nice slash. And wave number 1 established. No real highlights just yet. Of course, 30-minute heats here. Welcome back into the booth, Mr. Paul Evans, as he'll break this opening ride of Federico Moraes down for us.
Oh, mate, just looking to carry over that momentum from his previous heat, and he's looking sharp already. And I tell you what, it's a real clash of the titans out there. Two big, powerful, tall surfers. You see that big frame of Federico just translating beautifully into these long right-handers.
So skate along the coping at the end. Well, the coping faded, but I mean, I enjoyed that little drift.
Yeah, definitely. And he's just, you know, he sort of set the marker, didn't he, in this last heat with that performance out the back. It was the first, like, legit surfing on that right-hander out the back, and he's just trying to carry that over. And uncharacteristic couple of throwaways from Jorgen early on. Normally, you kind of expect, we're used to seeing him post scores pretty much as soon as he stands up at the beginning of your heat. So gonna have to just work out something slightly different out here. But this looks like an absolute beaut of a matchup. Conditions are getting a little bit more challenging out there, though. That south wind's getting from kind of light to sort of moderate to keen.
Yeah, Magic Seaweed did call it, though. They said the wind would get a little hint of a south-southwest in it as the tide bottomed out. Of course, we had to wait till well after 10 o'clock this morning. In fact, getting going just after 11 with that high tide set at 10 a.m. Now local time here in Portugal, on its way to 2 p.m. So we're in that bottom half of the tide here. See how that right-hander handles this little buffering of southerly wind. It's the go-to bank. We heard in the interview earlier on, Paul, how Federico Moraes was saying this was a CT. Nobody would even be looking at the bowl on the inside. So he's got his eyes set, and Cousinet's followed him out the back. So there'll be no mixed-up peaks in this one. They'll both be on the same bank.
Interesting, his thoughts still very much on that tour, you know?
Yes.
It's just, even with that comparison, he's just still thinking and kind of placing himself on the elites where he wants to be. It's where he'll feel, and the entire sort of surfing crowd and fans of Portugal and all his support crew feel he belongs.
There's got to be this element of demotivation, though. When you surf at that elite championship tour level, finish 23rd, cut-off's 22nd on the Jeep leaderboard, which is Federico Moraes' case here, missing by 1 slot, and now you're back here, and there's just sometimes no glamour to these qualifying series events.
It's asking a different set of questions of him, you know. It's easy to be kind of happy when things are going your way, and then, I mean, which sort of great sporting story have we ever had that didn't have adversity wrapped up in it, you know, in one way or another? And right now he's, you know, still pretty early on in his career, and he's been basically asked to sort of think again, not rethink his surfing necessarily, but certainly tweak things.
Yep.
And he's back here doing that. He's rolling up his sleeves, and like you said, he needs to get the dirty work done.
He's younger than we may all interpret as well, because he's so tall, 6'1". In fact, both athletes out in the lineup 6'1", and topping out the scales at the high 70 kilograms, about 77, 78 kilograms respectively. They're almost the same athletic size, but both of these surfers, 25 and 26 years old respectively.
Solid.
You always think, you know, Federico Moraes is a little older than 25 for some reason, just because he's so tall.
He's been around for a while, hasn't he? He's been on the scene. He came on young. He was already impressive in his junior years. Already kind of came as a power surfer. And
the other thing I've just looked up is Federico Moraes' result this time last year. Got to the quarterfinals. And who did he lose to, Paul? Trick question? No, the finalist.
Ramzi Bukiem.
Yes, they met in the quarters. And the question is, do they get a matchup again in the final? Here we go, wave number 2. Opened with the 4.5, now setting up some reasonable rail work from Federico.
Yeah, quick one from him. Just taking advantage of a little opportunity. So, let's see as a few more seconds tick away, getting down towards that 20-minute mark. Nothing like a stranglehold so far in this one, but he is going to extend his advantage. That will count for him. It's just his second wave, so it's been a sort of a slow start to this one. The last one, of course, was pretty much one-way traffic, right? Ramsey just absolutely controlling that heat.
He did. Here goes Cruz, a chance to perform now against the Portuguese star. Hasn't found anything major yet. It reaches out, a little bit of body language on that. I've just got a feeling that this right-hander is gone a little soft on us with the outgoing tide being flustered by the wind. So a little bit of body dynamics there from Cruz, trying to bring a different touch to the end of his wave, number 3.
Yeah, in terms of approach, in terms of conditions, I mean, they're both really highly skilled surfers, but you'd probably be thinking if it was super lined up and clean, Federico will feel, you know, very much like his kind of conditions. If it does get a little bit weird, if we are talking about kind of reforming and slightly messed up, crossed up sections, you'd probably say Kuzane with just that little bit more sort of looser legs, slightly springier body might have an advantage. Let's have a look at a replay here. Here he is digging in, and this is Federico just previously. We're waiting for this score to come through. It's a smaller wave for him. It's dropped in as we watch him tap that closeout section. It's a 3-6-7. Now, Kuzane out the back. This is his third wave. And he goes down the line and finds himself a little oncoming section. It's not super convincing layback. He's got that maneuver on lock. He didn't throw too much into that one. I think he was just conscious of the fact that he's only got a couple of ones so far, and he didn't want to fall and get another one, basically. So a tentative start to this one, a little bit nervy, and almost like the energy in the water's kind of been matched by the surfing we've seen.
Yeah, it's kind of gingery from both of them. They both know there's the chance here to steal points now in the qualifying series campaign. Of course, we'll see both of these surfers next, well, on Monday coming, as we move down to Costa de Caparica. 2 QS 3000s back-to-back bring many of the former championship tour surfers here to contest. Of course, Keanu Singh, Nat Young, Richie Cruz, and a number of names looking for points here on the qualifying series, as is Federico Moraes.
Checking a replay from Kirkus, and he'll go down on that second turn. He had a lot of speed on that wave. There's a lot more impetus in his down-the-line flow. And he just went a little rotation of the tail, just slightly out the lip, just tweaking that turn, but he'll go down as he looks a little bit interested again. The score's come in for Kuzane as a 4-4, so a marked improvement from him. And you can see directions on the beach up there with the Kuzane backup board, just giving him a bit of positioning. Trying to work out who that is in his corner. Whether or not it might be Tim Bissot. Someone's giving him a few tips on where to sit. And of course we had in Camp Bukium, we got Marc Lacomar and PV Laborde. So good to see the support crew as well come together. Whoever from your crew's still in, everyone rallies behind them. And important to have that crew. And we talked about the sort of support for Federico. It's basically the entire nation he's got in his corner. So plenty of support from him, for him.
Well, a goofy footer waits in the final. 2 natural footers doing battle here in semi-final number 2. Had a number of sparky performances from the goofy crew here in Santa Cruz this week. Non Mignot into the final day. So he made top 8.
Yeah, went out with a bit of a whimper. Just didn't get the waves, did he? And it's a similar story for Bissot, another goofy.
Ben Mundy and I were talking about, there's just a couple of lopsided heats here on the final day.
That left basically was always kind of in a stage of dying, and it just depends, you know, it might have a couple of opportunities in a heat, and if you get them, you're looking good, and if they don't come your way, you're looking very ordinary, and it's exactly how that's kind of gone down. And you see Jorgan just getting the instructions to reposition, so he's headed slightly south to the left of your picture there. And we're still looking at pretty modest numbers as we go down towards the halfway mark in this heat.
Well, the clock is under 16 minutes to go. Yeah, Federico Moraes, not a strong lead at all, folks. A 4.5 and a 3.67, but he is out in front in semi-final number 2. We'll continue after the break.
When the time is right, I'll sing my song till the morning place. And when the time has come, I'll sing my song to the morning sun.
The World Surf League's qualifying series unfolding here in Portugal. 2 QS 3000s back-to-back here in the middle of April. You're joining us in semi-final number 2. No changes on the other side of the break now. 4.5 and still a 3.67 on the mere scores for the heat leader. Kuzene heading back out is now Oda score. And while we wait for some updates on Jürgen Kuzene's last wave, let's go down and hear from someone who's managed to garner some points out of this visit to Santa Cruz. Luel Felipe is down there with Ben Mundy.
Yeah, thanks, Gig. I'm with Luel. He's obviously a bit disappointed with the semi-final, but what a week you've had. On reflection, you've got to be happy overall.
Yeah, I'm really stoked. Like I would like to win. It's always we want to win, but I'm glad to be here. Like I said before, I'm glad to be here to have the opportunity to compete. I didn't find myself out there, like it's really different. So Hamzin got the good ones and I could find and get the good waves. But yeah, I'm still stoked. I was trying to do some airs and like surf with happiness, and I tried it. So yeah, that's it.
And though the rating points, you got some big points and a bit of cash, so that must give you some confidence going on to. And Caparica is just down the road, so you must be like fired up now to go even better.
Yeah, like I just want to enjoy my days here, like with my friends and in Portugal. Like I have really good friends over here, and like the waves is really good. I think Caparica the wave is really fun too. So yeah, I'm excited to the next contest, but I just want to enjoy day by day and like surf and enjoy myself in this time. And I would like to say thank you for all my friends that are supporting me in Brazil, my family, my wife. So I would like to say thank you to Neuronha too, that helped me to come here. And yeah, thank you everybody. Thank you God to give me the opportunity to come here. And let's go to Caparica.
Okay, thanks, mate. So thanks for your time. Not easy coming off the a loss in the semi-final, but he's positive and he's pumped up for Caparica. And yeah, what a delight he's been all week. So thanks, Luel, and back to you guys in the booth. Thanks, mate. Appreciate that. Thanks, Luel. See you next week.
Got the nice hand grab there from Luel Felipe. Didn't drop the ball on that one, did he?
No, Mundy almost getting a bit emotional there.
Yeah. Or trying to hog the limelight, one of the two.
He's emotionally invested in these athletes. He's forming some strong bonds down here on the beach.
Yes, he has. It's beautiful to see.
That's the thing about surf travel. You make some of your best mates, and maybe even some people turn out to be more than that. It's just life. It's just travel.
He's enjoying
surfing.
Portugal. Ben Mundy's enjoying Portugal.
Staying at
So's Luel Felipe.
Noah Surf House, shredding, Kosciusz last night. Out here this morning in Santa Cruz, some of the finest waves in Europe around on your doorstep. Great place to come for a surf trip. Springtime in Europe, people. And if you're thinking about a trip, Portugal's got to be right up there. Well, these guys aren't thinking about surf trips. They're thinking about business. And I tell you what, Kuzene just turned this heat with that small number 477. He's got himself in the lead for the first time. It's a very modest, meager lead. It's flimsy. But right now, Giggsy, he's got himself in that top spot.
Well, that heat flip-flopping over. What do we make of the replay here, Paul?
So, Kuzene, here we go. Bit of white water to deal with from the takeoff. Gets the first little turn through the lip, sets up swinging. With a little snap back in the pocket. And then finally He goes into that kind of laid-back closeout bash. Looked like at one point could have possibly been in a bit of trouble, but his balance is so good. He's got really good recovery from improbable positions. That's one of the reasons why he's kind of been a bit of a standout in the beach breaks on the QS, because he puts himself in difficult positions and he recovers really well. Meanwhile, an absolute bomb out the back.
Live action as we follow Federico Moraes, who now needs to fetch a 4.68 in the lineup to steal the lead back from the Frenchman. He's going to be doing that with this as this wave just keeps offering a pocket down the line here. The Portuguese crowd will be warming nicely to this, even though it is a cold afternoon here. It is Saturday in Portugal. Even a touch of drizzle from time to time, but the Portuguese are here in their droves to support this man, Federico Moraes. He's going to steal the lead back on that one, Paul.
Yeah, he worked that one all the way through down to that inside, belted it a couple of times out the back. You can see there on your screen the requirements, just a 4.68 for him. We reckon that's the best wave he's ridden so far. If you compare that to his 4.5, let's wait and see how the judges compare it, though. There's a little bit of time ticks away on the clock, and it's not going to be a crazy number. Let's just have a little look at it here. Here he goes. Nice bit of meat on the takeoff. He gets plenty of speed into that first turn. A little wrap back. That's a classic Moraes turn. That one was really nice. Little Rio off the lip. And then he just arcs down, kind of snapping in this tight pocket, bit of foam on the face, deals with it pretty well. And he just kind of navigates a little thing about an inside, which wasn't really forthcoming, and gets out.
Not massive redirections on those turns. I mean, no one's got a better forehand rail arc than Federico Moraes. We've seen him go all the way to the finals at J-Bay. Of course, doing damage at Bells as well. So, you know, right-handers, he's going to come into the discussion. But feeling that that one didn't really show the true Federico Moraes.
Yeah, I know what you mean. He's not pushing too hard, is he? He's just making sure that he brought the variety in his previous heat. He had that long right, and he showed a bunch of different stuff. Similarly on that wave, a variety in his turns, but not vintage Moraes in terms of how hard he's pushing, in terms of degree of difficulty. Judges are going to have a good think about this important number.
Do you think that's testimony to the conditions on hand, or maybe just a little slump where Federico's finding himself in his early part of 2019?
Probably a little bit
speculative discussion, of course.
Yeah, probably a little bit of both. I think he might find himself sort of slightly bewildered, but it does require different surfing on the QS, doesn't it, from the CT? Let's check out live action here.
Oh, Cousineau goes down, and it's probably because he's heard that he's just lost the lead to Federico. 6.6 now in for the Portuguese surfer. So the judges like the rail power application. 6.6 now, easily the best individual wave of this semi-final number 2. They want to now sit quietly. He's been handed back priority, just care of that blunder of Jürgen Cousineau.
Really uncharacteristic mistake there from Jorgan. He's made a couple of them in this heat, going down really early on that wave. Not sure there was much of a payoff down the line, however. I mean, he obviously would have preferred to finish the wave on his feet, but he might have just run out of wave. And we see Federico Moraes' dad there looking pretty cool and composed. Doesn't look too rattled. Those two keeping very close quarters in the lineup. Let's have another squiz at the last wave. A nice big opening section for him. A little redirection there, a wee bit tentative. That was a nice stinging turn through the lip. And then he'll just kind of carve down again here through this inside section. Doesn't get a shorey, but the points are already earned to the tune of a 6.6, and that sets us up with our first kind of legit requirement for Jorgan now. So he's looking for 6.34 with 6 on the clock, and he's in second priority, so it's got a bit to do.
Yep. We're looking at that grain on the ocean surface here, the North Atlantic just being ruffled here by a southerly little blitz of wind. We felt that, may have even speculated that it could have been a touch more offshore in the angle. The wind's very side shore, so it's probably like south-southwest, considering the angle of this piece of coastline. We are in Santa Cruz. It is pretty much halfway between Ericeira and Peniche. It's the better-known neighbors, but make no mistake, this hamlet town in the Torres Vedras region plays host to some beautiful beaches, And even in the middle of summer, when the Atlantic goes a little sleepy, there's always some powerful little pocket waves to be had here.
One thing we learned this week is the swell picked up pretty quick down here. I mean, it absolutely jumped down here one day from about 3 foot to kind of 6 to 8 foot plus in, what, an hour of rising tide?
Yeah, crazy. Here we go. This is the comeback story. Jorgen Kuzenay seeing the wind buckling this wall a bit, but he's staying in the power source, trying to keep some pace with this. He'll just allow the new bowl to come at him. Now, he finished a punchy section early on for a 4.4, so that one had a bit more wall on it, so we're feeling that he could be upping numbers a touch. His requirements, a reminder of a 6.34 required for Kuzenay to take the lead from Morais as we go inside of the 5-minute mark here.
First impression, probably better than what he's got so far. It's probably not quite the requirement, maybe in between the two, maybe around a 5. Let's see what the judges thought of it, but there is wobble on the wave. As you said, Giggs, he does well to negotiate that wobble, but what that wobble does mean is he can never really give turns everything he wants. It's kind of not a super convincing finish. And there we see Federico just finishing off a wave with a little fist pump. So he had that priority. Jorgen went that wave because Federico let him go. Federico realized it probably wasn't the greatest wave, and meanwhile, has he made that just tell even more using that priority? We're going to see if we can bring a replay of that wave. Federico definitely liked it.
Yeah, when he starts getting emotional like this, you know he's found a wall. So we're assuming, and we speculate before the replay, that a bigger, stronger wall came Federico Morais' way.
Here he is, jumps to his feet and goes down the line with speed. There's a nice snap through the lip. And then there's his little wrapping carve that he does, releasing a little bit of tail. So 3 turns from him, 3 distinct different turns, a little fist pump on the end. We're going to get a score for each surfer. And then probably Kuzenay is going to be in the lineup with priority with a requirement. So let's check out a heat recap of this second semi-final and tell the story of it so far. Kuzenay has not looked quite the surfer he has in the earlier rounds, Giggs.
No, but I felt that, you know, he wrestled a reasonable score out of that, and of course the judges owe him a better score than that one still as we go to the replay of what we've established thus far. But Kuzenay working hard. They've both got an excellent rail game. We feel that both of these surfers are the 2 most powerful, other than, of course, Vasco Ribeira and finalist Ramzi Bukhayem. So power has played its part here in Santa Cruz. This is where Federico Morais started building the comeback story. Nice sweeps on the rail, those trademark turns that he's so well known for. And this was him fetching a 4.5 early on. He's bettered this one, Paul, as we go down to the final minutes.
Yeah, so just finishing off there on the inside, and we do have scores in, and it's mixing things up. We're just going to stick with Federico before we bring you an update from the scoreboard. But we've seen him just nudge his way in front. He took advantage.
This was his 6.6 here, Paul.
Yeah, and he looked good on this wave, didn't he? Bringing it all the way around to the inside, and he felt it. By the time he kicked out, he knew he'd surfed himself up into a reasonable position. So scores in, Kuzenay gets 5.83, and then Federico gets a 5.67.
So advantage in that exchange, but the heat still belongs to Federico Morais here. But as you mentioned just before that recap, Paul, look who's got priority out at the takeoff zone. Will that determine the switch over of this heat?
All boils down to this in the last 1 minute and 40 seconds. Kuzenay's requirement is 6.45, so well within his capabilities. He just needs to nudge up about half a point from that wave he just rode, which Fred let him go on. So from under Kikas's priority, Fred let him go, and actually Jorgen got the better score of those two. So we're set up now for a finish. We just need a wave for Kuzenay, but obviously if he does use that priority and go, that will give Morais the opportunity, if there's a wave behind it as well, to maybe improve on his score.
Coming up to that last minute now. Semi-final number 2 drawing to a close here in the Pro Santa Cruz, presented by the Noah Surf House. And who is going to end up meeting Ramzi Bukhayem in this year's final? Kuzenay is in with the chance here. 6.45 requirement. It's all very close.
Yeah, the ocean looks a bit calm.
Ocean's gone, yeah. We've seen some bigger sets, and then there is that pattern here, Paul, with a big set comes a window of a lull behind it. So a feeling that we're stuck in that lull now. Kuzene might very well be staring here at a third-place finish in the draw. Not a bad result either way. It is, of course, early in the year. Many qualifying series events still to come. We've seen strong starts every season for Jürgen Kuzene.
Yeah, he knows, doesn't he? As we tick down 15 seconds, he don't think he's going to get this. A couple of lines out the back, they're not going to get there in time. And he's going to get starved out, and he can't believe it. You can see him there. There's going to be a set coming just after the horn. And it's Moraes, and Portugal celebrates.
Ah, the Portuguese are on their feet. We can hear the noise from the crowd outside the booth here. That man, Frederico Moraes, we started the day with 2 Portuguese stars. We've still got 1. He is going to tee up in a big match-off in the final against Ramzi Bukhayem. But all credit to Jürgen Kuzene, finishing 3rd here. Of course, Jürgen came here ranked 26 on the qualifying series. And he'll wrap up a 3rd-place finish here and add more points to his tally in 2019. But it is Frederico Moraes for that heat win. That is now an official result. No real big numbers there in that. They squeezed the lemon right at the end. I mean, both of them did find scores. I mean, that first half of the heat, Paul, was all about the 4s. So they managed to get 6s out of it in the end. But it did go Frederico Moraes' way.
Yeah, not a classic, a little bit scrappy. That's a reflection of conditions rather than anything else. But nevertheless, it's all about making it into the finals. Exactly what Kikash has done.
Yep. And now we get to see Frederico keeping his game face on here. He'll be up against Ramzi Bukhayem. Stay with us. We'll give them a break, and we'll be back for finals time here at the Pro Santa Cruz, presented by the Noah Surf House.
So we're going to go with a small break between the second semi and the final. Won't be long. Just giving some time for Federico to rehydrate.
When the time is right, I'll sing my song to the morning light. And when the time has come, I'll sing my song